The Napoleonic Wars were one of the most dramatic, intense, and transformative periods in world history, between 1803 and 1815. Europe was thrown into a series of massive conflicts led by one man, Napoleon Bonaparte. He rose from an unknown artillery officer to Emperor of France, conquered much of the continent, defeated major powers in stunning victories, and then ultimately fell in spectacular fashion. The wars changed borders, governments, alliances, and military tactics, and even today, Napoleon's impact can still be felt across Europe. To understand the Napoleonic Wars, we need to go back to the French Revolution. After years of chaos, wars, and political instability, France was exhausted. Traditional monarchies across Europe were trying to crush the revolution, while inside France, different factions fought for control. In the middle of all this, a young Corsican military officer named Napoleon rose to prominence with a series of brilliant victories in Italy and Egypt. He was charismatic, ambitious, and ruthless. By 1799, he seized power in a coup and declared himself first consul. A few years later, he crowned himself emperor. Europe's monarchies were alarmed. They saw Napoleon as a threat not only because of France's growing power, but because the revolution's ideas of equality and nationalism were spreading across the continent. And so the Napoleonic Wars began, a series of coalitions formed by Britain, Austria, Russia, and Prussia to stop France. One of the defining features of the Napoleonic Wars was Napoleon's military genius. He reorganized the French army, introduced faster maneuvering, and emphasized aggressive, decisive battles. His soldiers marched farther and faster than any army in Europe. He used corps semi-independent units capable of fighting on their own to create flexible and powerful formations. The first major victories came early. In 1805, Napoleon faced the Third Coalition. The British defeated the French Navy at the Battle of Trafalgar, ensuring British dominance at sea. But on land, Napoleon delivered one of the greatest victories in military history, the Battle of Austerlitz. Facing both Russia and Austria, he pretended to be weak, lured them into attacking, and then crushed them. The victory dissolved the coalition and reshaped Europe. Austria was humbled, and Napoleon created the Confederation of the Rhine, a group of German states under French influence. Napoleon's empire expanded rapidly. He defeated Prussia in 1806 at the twin battles of Jena and Austerlitz. He marched triumphantly into Berlin. He then defeated Russia at the Battle of Friedland, leading to the Treaty of Tilsit. At this moment, Napoleon was at the height of his power. France controlled much of Western and Central Europe, either directly or through allied states. His siblings ruled kingdoms across Europe, but Napoleon wanted more, especially economic dominance. This led to one of his biggest strategic mistakes, the continental system. Napoleon attempted to blockade Britain, banning European trade with them, but Britain, with its powerful navy, simply traded globally. Meanwhile, European economies suffered under the blockade, creating resentment and resistance. Another major front opened in Spain and Portugal. In 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain, replacing its king with his brother Joseph, but the Spanish people fought back using guerrilla tactics. Supported by Britain, the Peninsular War drained French resources and became a brutal, years-long conflict. It was here that Napoleon discovered something shocking. His armies could be defeated when fighting a determined population on their home ground. But the turning point came in 1812. Angry at Russia for violating the continental system, Napoleon launched one of the largest invasions in history. Over 600,000 troops marched into Russia. At first, the Russians retreated, using scorched earth tactics. Napoleon won the Battle of Borodino, but it was a costly victory. When he reached Moscow, the city was abandoned and in flames, without supplies or shelter. The French army was forced to retreat during the harsh winter. The result was catastrophic. Only a small fraction of the army made it back. It was one of the greatest military disasters ever recorded. Sensing opportunity, the European powers united again. The Sixth Coalition, Britain, Russia, Prussia, Austria, and others mobilized massive armies. In 1813, Napoleon fought the Battle of Leipzig. Also known as the Battle of the Nations, it was the largest battle Europe had ever seen at that time. Napoleon was defeated and pushed back into France by 1814. The coalition armies reached Paris. Napoleon abdicated and was exiled to the Mediterranean island of Elba. But Napoleon wasn't finished. In 1815, he escaped Elba and returned to France. Crowds rallied to him. Soldiers who were sent to arrest him instead joined him. Europe was shocked. Napoleon was back. This began the period known as the 100 Days. The European powers quickly mobilized once more. The final showdown came at the Battle of Waterloo. Facing British forces under Wellington and Prussian forces under Blücher, Napoleon launched a bold attack. But delays, muddy terrain, and fierce resistance slowed the French when Prussian reinforcements arrived. The battle turned. Napoleon was defeated once and for all. He was exiled again, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He died there in 1821. The Napoleonic Wars changed Europe in countless ways. Old empires fell. Modern nationalism grew. Borders were redrawn. The Holy Roman Empire was dissolved. Military tactics evolved. And the Congress of Vienna attempted to restore balance to the continent. Napoleon's legacy is complicated. Some see him as a tyrant and warmonger. Others see him as a brilliant administrator who modernized Europe with legal reforms, education systems, and centralized governments. But one thing is certain: no single individual has shaped European history as dramatically or as quickly as Napoleon Bonaparte. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and let me know which historical era you want to explore next.